you don't have the right skill set, you're not growing, you're not reading, you're not role playing, you don't have a follow-up game in place, or you're getting bottlenecked at the bottom because you don't have the skill set to go close a lot of deals. So somewhere in here, we need to go back and look at your January and your February. And we have to look at what's going well and what's not going well. We have to do an audit so we can make the right changes so that here in the last month of the quarter, you can go and have an explosive experience. All right, guys, here we are, March. So excited for the content that we've got ready to go for you this month. Obviously, today we're going to take a minute. We're going to do an audit on your business. And we're going to look at your business plan, and we're going to make sure that you're on track to finish this quarter where you wanted to finish. Because remember, an airplane that flies out of Salt Lake that goes to New York City, if that pilot is off by 6 inches, you will either end up all the way up in Minnesota or all the way down in Texas. Same thing with the captain. You will not leave the dock unless you have everything you need, the map and the compass. You need to know exactly where you're going and where you're at all times. So we're going to take this entire episode. We're going to go to the whiteboard. We're going to break this down. It'll be awesome. But this month, we've got so much good content coming. Excited for you guys. Make sure you turn on the notifications. Make sure you subscribe, that you're watching every Monday at 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. These videos are going to come out. We've got 2 great episodes, interviews that we did with one of the top door-to-door sales reps that sells pest control that I mentored and trained. And you're going to learn from him on how to go from 0 to one of the best in sales nationwide. We got another one coming from Brandon Mulrennan. We did a podcast, Dwayne and I, with him recently on an Instagram reel that I did that caused a lot of frustration with a lot of real estate coaches. And it's great. There should be frustration. We should talk about the topic on that. So that's coming this month. And then we've got another one. If you have time management issues, if you're not going as fast as you want to go, if you're not accomplishing as much as you want to, and you're behind constantly, the last video in March is going to be so good. So hang tight. We've got so much good content coming for you this month. If you're following our book club, which if you're not, comment book club and we'll get that out to you. But if you're following our book club, we're going to talk about 3 Feet from Gold, one of the greatest books that you'll ever read. A lot of you, I'm sure, have seen the picture of the guy that is digging for gold. You got one on the top and one on the bottom. And the one guy gives up just too early, like this much too early. And he walks away from all those diamonds. He's so close. So this is the book that we're going to read in March. Excited to talk about that with you this month. But make sure you follow along with that. All the packets that we've built, designed, all the past packets that we've built for this month are all available, ready to go. Make sure you comment on those and all the videos this month. Excited for these 4 episodes to help you put more money in your pockets, because that's the entire goal. You guys reach out. I make the content, give it back to you for free so you can go put more money in your bank account. If watching all these videos this month and you're like, wow, I want to jump into their coaching that is $12.50 a month and get trained by Jeremy and Dwayne and get in their sales coaching platform. Or if I want to join role play, that's $200 a month and I want to practice my skill set. Or if you're a new realtor or an experienced realtor and you want to get on our team and grow, that's nationwide. We've got Tess Abella that's on our team in Arizona. We've got Paige Steckling that's on our team in Salt Lake City. We've got Matt Leonetti, Brad McCallan up in Canada. We've got Red Suit Realtor, Dwayne Richens, myself. We're taking over the United States and Canada. If you want to be on our team, reach out as well. But besides all that, I just want to help you. And we're going to do that this month with all these episodes that we've got coming out. So hang tight. Excited to get these to you. And let's rock and roll on today's episode. All right, here we go. So we're jumping into this one. Look at this massive slide deck that we've got available for you today. I did this in our Explode coaching program, and they were like, wow, that was incredible. Can you actually do it again? And just do it on YouTube. Give it free back to the community. And so here we are. Every quarter, about a month before you're done, so the end of the second month in every quarter, you should sit down and ask yourself, where am I at? Am I ahead? Am I on pace, right where I need to be? Or am I behind? Constantly pivoting, constantly figuring out where you are. That will help you go and put more money into your bank account quicker because you're making more pivots faster. Jeff Bezos, He is the CEO of Amazon. They have 1.5 million employees and they operate fast and they're efficient and they're quick and they're growing. How are they able to do that? Because they audit. They have constant feedback loops. And so that's what this episode is. We're going to go into a ton of slides, a ton of quotes. You're going to take a ton of notes. Make sure you grab this. But before you watch this, pull out your business plan, pull out your vision board, pull out your schedule. And you got to be honest with yourself and look at it. Strip yourself clean. There's a great book by David Goggins, Can't Hurt Me. And he talks about looking in a mirror. You guys, go look in a mirror and be honest with yourself these past 2 months. At the end of every quarter, when you're 2 months in, you should go back and watch this video. But look in a mirror and be honest with yourself and make the correct adjustments. And hopefully this episode, that's what you get. So let's jump into this. The first thing that's so important is you got to have a come to Jesus. If you've been to the South or you have ever talked to people that are from the South, this is a common phrase. It's basically a DTR. You've got to have a DTR. You got to have a come to Jesus with yourself. You have to be able to be as honest and as brutal with yourself as possible. Why? Because right now, when this episode comes out, there's 2 months that are already gone in this year. So in 2025, we're already 2 months gone. And you've got to ask yourself, here we go into March. Where am I at? You've got to ask yourself, am I ahead of my goals or am I behind? Are you on track, ahead, or behind? This is the come to Jesus that you have to have. You have to be as honest and upfront with yourself as possible, because then you can actually make the adjustments necessary to finish the quarter with momentum. How you finish one quarter is how you start the next. That's how momentum is built. You end the previous year, and that's how you start the next year. You end this quarter, and that's how you start this quarter. And just like if you had a pebble and you throw it in the pond, those ripples are going to build on top of each other. And they're going to build and build and build and build until all of a sudden you have this massive wave. And that's momentum. Most businesses, they safeguard and they go all in on building that momentum, and then they protect it. Because just like the merry-go-round example that Darren Hardy gives in his book, The Compound Effect, it's all the effort at the beginning, and then you can just kind of stop, and it just runs and runs. Same thing with a boulder. You push that boulder up a mountain, right when you get to the top, you can just flick it, and it just goes down the mountain on its own. And a train is the same. A train going 1 mile an hour can be stopped by a 4x4 piece of wood. A train going 100 miles an hour can go through a steel-plated building. So all those examples that you've always heard me say, this is what it looks like in your calendar. So that's what we're going to go over today. We're going to talk about how to go and build this. We're going to make sure that you're on track or ahead of pace. And if you're behind, how do you fix that? So grab your notes. We're going to jump right into this. My brother, Tyson Davis, he gave this example on his LinkedIn account, and it was incredible when I was building the slide deck. And it talked about how we have data. And a lot of your businesses in these past 2 months looks like this. Just a bunch of Legos all over the place. You're behind, you're not doing any deals, you're not prospecting, you're so far off. Well, what happens right here is you take that data and then you sort it. And then after sorting it, you arrange it. You present it visually, and then you put a story to it. This is how you go and you gather all the data from the last 2 months, look at it, put a story to it, and then that'll allow you to actually go and have a difference in your business. So here's the next part of this slide that's really cool. Right here, by Charles Kettering. He was one of the research developers for, I think Ford Motors back in the day, if I get that correct. And he said, a problem well stated is a problem half solved. And I love that. You can't solve problems unless you've defined it properly. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to define your problem, define your successes, and then we're about halfway there. If you can't define it, if you can't organize everything from the last 2 months going into the last month of the quarter, then you're going to get stuck. And we don't want you to get stuck. All right? One of the greatest principles that I've learned is from Tony Robbins. And Tony Robbins says, if you can recognize patterns, you have an edge. No matter the situation, you'll recognize the pattern, learn how to use it, create something new, and dominate. real estate is not a complicated industry, but a lot of times we make it complicated, but it's not. It's a copy and paste industry. And so just like Tony Robbins is saying here, if you can recognize the patterns that will help you go do really, really well to end the quarter, then that momentum will pull you into the next quarter, and then that'll pull you into the next quarter, and then all of a sudden you're operating at such a high frequency that you really can't be stopped, that nobody can catch you, and you're going to be ahead of your goals. So great quote from Tony Robbins. Screenshot that or put that in your notes. So real estate in a nutshell comes down to these slides right here. This is what it comes down to. You've got to get really good at these 6 things. If we were to break this down, if we were to look at it, you have to make sure that you are okay, because sales is a transfer of energy. A lot of people don't have a sales problem. They have a personal problem that's affecting their sales ability to go close a lot of real estate. People don't know who you are in your market because you don't have a lot of exposure. Your processes are slowing you down, like Dan Martell talks about in his book, Buy Back Your Time. You have a brake on, but you're driving a Ferrari. Put that brake down, take it off, so you can go as fast as you need to. You don't have the right skill set. You're not growing. You're not reading. You're not role playing. You don't have a follow-up game in place, or you're getting bottlenecked at the bottom because you don't have the skill set to go close a lot of deals. So somewhere in here, we need to go back and look at your January and your February. And we have to look at what's going well and what's not going well. We have to do an audit so we can make the right changes so that here in the last month of the quarter, you can go and have an explosive experience. So let's go to the next one. Another fantastic quote from Tony Robbins. He says, if anyone wants to gain mastery at anything, whatever you're trying to figure out, play the violin, do real estate, become a swimmer, pickleball if you're here in Southern Utah, you have to get good at these 3 things. You have to understand it here. You have to cognitively understand the process. You have to feel it here and get behind it emotionally. And then you just need to know the technical process of what you're trying to learn. And so as we go through this, look for these 3 things. Are you off cognitively? Do you just not have the exposure because you just don't understand? Or do you just not have enough experiences where you can get behind it in your heart? Or is it just like the technical problems that you're running into? By the way, before we jump into this, before we get too far into this presentation, if you want this slide deck, comment slide deck, comment your favorite part about it, and then I want you to go to social media on Instagram, turn a video, or take a video of the screen, your computer, the TV, wherever you're watching this, and then tag me. So you've got a comment slide deck on YouTube, explain why you love this, and then go to social media and tag me on your stories. And then I will get this to you. It's easier for me to DM or text you. On YouTube, it makes it kind of tricky. Follow that process and I'll get this to you. All right, let's jump back into this. So these are the processes to really master what we're about to go through. All right, so now let's look at this. These are the processes broken down. This is the first thing you have to look back in January and February. Let's deep dive into you. One of the greatest quotes I've heard about this was recently I was at a conference in Salt Lake City. Shout out to Sam Taggart. He's an incredible salesperson, put together this organization the past 8 years to bring all the door-to-door sales reps nationwide. And Doug Cartwright, who's one of the OGs to go door-to-door, has been doing it from the beginning. He said, you don't have a sales problem. A lot of you watching this, you don't have a real estate problem. It's not a complicated industry. You have a personal development problem. Your inner demons, your mindset issues, your dialogue that you have. You're just not getting a lot of sleep. Your nutrition sucks. You're not going to the gym. You're not getting natural sunlight outside, and that's affecting your energy. So you don't have a sales problem, you have a personal development problem that is preventing your sales performance. I love that. So powerful. So it's not anything else. It's literally just something inside of you is affecting your energy, and that's preventing you. So go back and look in January and February, or if you're watching this later on, go back to 2 previous months of the quarter and ask yourself where you're at. So if I'm going to break it down as easy as I can, these are the areas that you're going to want to fix. You're going to want to make sure you have on lock. You need to have a vision board. The vision board is going to give you passion. Your business plan is going to give you a vision. It's going to give you direction of where to point that passion. And then your daily schedule is going to give you purpose. So if you don't have this packet, I've got one that I built at the beginning of the year. Comment Business Packet 2025, why you want it, and then I'll send this out to you so that you can understand how to build those 3 things. But let's continue. These are the 4 systems that you have to implement to make sure that you are taken care of. You've got to have a morning routine. Go buy the book, Miracle Morning. Go implement the program, Savers Program. And that'll help you get more purpose, more centered, more focused for the day. It's a program I've been following for the past 12, 15 years, and it allows me to just be at peace, to build my foundation for the day. Then you got to have a nightly routine. If you don't have a nightly routine, comment nightly routine. I've got a packet for that I just built a couple weeks ago. At night, you can't go to bed stressed because then you'll wake up stressed the next day, and then you're stuck in this loop. So you have to make sure that you have a nightly plan that calms you down. You also have to do, like we're doing an audit on the quarter, you got to do an audit on the day and then forecast tomorrow. You need to have a nightly planning. Then have a weekly planning. If you need a packet on this, comment weekly planning. I'll get this out to you. Guys, this is all free. I love the Gary Vee philosophy of give, 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 give. I'm trying to give you as much as I can so you can operate at a higher frequency so you can go close a lot of deals. But you got to do an audit every week, just like you're doing everywhere else. You got to make sure that you're constantly on track, that you're on the right course and that you haven't deviated. And then the last one is you have to know yourself. You have to make sure that your bucket is full. One of the greatest books on this is The Happiness Advantage. This is a great book by Sean Akers, one of the funniest TED Talks, if you go back and watch his video. But he talks about how we have to take more ownership on our happiness levels. We're the one that's responsible for that, nobody else. So what do you have on your schedule that if you did that every week, you would be at 10 out of 10 happiness levels? Is it hiking? Is it swimming? Is it playing sports? Is it watching sports? Is it getting together with friends? What is it? Build a list of 4 to 5 things that if you were to do that every week, you would operate on a higher level. So go fix that. All right, make sure that you're taken care of. Before we move on, again, you don't have a sales problem, you have a personal development problem that is preventing your sales performance. So go fix that. That's the first part of the funnel. The second one is exposure. A lot of people just don't know who you are. You're only talking to 7, 8, 10 people a week. That's not going to blow up your business. That's not going to allow you to walk away after 2 or 3 years as a realtor. My business partner, Dwayne, did so much business his first 2 years that he hasn't prospected in 6 years because of how much volume he did. For me, it took 3 years. But after 3 years, I can walk away, do enough volume to be exactly where I want to be. And so this is a great quote from Alex Ramosi. He says, most people simply don't know who you are or what you offer. He gives a great example you've probably heard me give in other episodes, but when he went to launch Gym Launch, his mentor's like, hey, no one knows who you are. You need to go put flyers out on all the cars at all the gyms. And so what he would do is he would go put 500 flyers out, go back to his mentor. He's like, hey, I put the flyers out, but no one's called me. His mentor's like, well, how many flyers did you put out? It's like, I put 500. And the guy laughed. He's like, Alex, we put 3,000 a week for a month straight to get the right data, to get a return. You just didn't do enough. No one knows who you are. So make sure on funnel number 2, you are getting the right exposure. How do you do that? There's 3 things. 3 things every day. If you don't have 5 to 10 deals under contract as a realtor, then these are the 3 things you need to do every single day. One of them is to prospect. 80% of your day should be geared towards prospecting. Prospecting defined is finding the person that's most likely to buy, sell, or invest right now. No data collection business. Don't throw everyone in your funnel or your follow-up system because they just gave you their email or phone number. Don't do that. Go find people that are ready to buy, sell, or invest right now. And 80% of your day, 7 hours a day, should be geared towards doing that. The other one is content. We've got a guy that's in our coaching program that just joined from Philadelphia, and he had a post. I asked him, what was your biggest post you ever posted on a house tour? He's like, it was like 3 or 4 million. 3 or 4 million. Imagine prospecting and talking to 100 people a week. Do the math. How long would that take you to get to 3 or 4 million people? In front of 3 or 4 million people. And he did it on one video, which, as a side note, I have a social media mastermind group. It's $100 to join on Instagram. It's a thread where all the realtors that I work with and don't work with are in there, and I coach them about social media. Or if you want to buy our course, go to our website, buy the course, or go watch my video from a couple months ago on social media so that you can learn how to convert. There's a lot of ways that I can help you, free, paid, or bigger purchase price. So go learn how to create content. And then ads. Ads are designed to put your content in front of the right people. If you learn how to do this, then what happens is you get a greater return. Every dollar I put in an ad, I get $20 back. Every dollar I put in, I get $400 back. And you can systematize this. More people just need to know who you are. And so your priority as you build your business is to do that. So go back and look on the previous 2 months in this quarter and ask yourself if you're getting enough exposure, because that's probably one of your issues. The next one is processes. Are your processes the reasons that you're not closing a lot of business? Or are they the reason you're closing a lot of business? So there's 2 quotes that I wanted to bring up. One is from Dan Martell, author of Buy Back Your Time. And he talks about how you either have a people problem or you have a process problem. Are your processes not in place? Is that your issue? Do you not have it systematized enough? Are you relying too much on your memory, or you're guessing? If that's the case, then that's a big red flag. When I was first getting into real estate, I had a mentor that had everything dialed down. He had all the processes, all the people in place. And I was like, oh, okay, so that's what real estate is. Prospect a ton, have processes to manage it, go back and prospect. That's it. You're not trying to wear all the hats as a realtor. Another great quote from a mentor of mine, Jeff Mendez, in the door-to-door space. He says, sophisticated systems yield sophisticated results, and lackluster systems yield lackluster results. So go back and look at your January and February, or the previous 2 months. If your systems aren't good, if you're not yielding good results, then what's the problem? Well, according to Mendez, Poppy, if you know him that well, it's your systems. Your systems aren't in place. It's not a repeatable business. If you were a publicly traded company, could someone come in and invest and buy shares in your business? If that's not the case, if it's too unpredictable, then that's your issue. Your issue is your systems aren't good enough. So there's 3 different things that we need to break down through your systems. So go back and look at your business plan. What are your main forms of prospecting? List them all out. Door knocking, referrals, open houses, social media, are you cold calling, physical expires, whatever you're doing. And then what is the system that you have in place that will allow you to be repeatable, to make sure that you're getting a sustained amount of deals that you want from that prospecting method. Every prospecting method you have, you should have 4 to 5 systems that you're following that will allow you to do that. The second thing is, remember, as a realtor, you've probably heard me say this before, but you're not a secretary. Your value to the marketplace is to put buyers and investors under contract and get sellers to list their home. That's why you get paid 3.5% or 3%. People rather pay more for what they want versus paying less for what they don't want. They do not want you to be a secretary. They don't want you to run all over the places. You guys have probably heard the amazing analogy from my business partner, Dwayne Richens, which if you're not following his channel, go follow him. He's got 25,000 subscribers, 400 plus videos. It's him and I that are running this together. But he gives this great analogy of a brain surgeon. If you were to go have brain surgery, would you want the brain surgeon that's 4 to 5 months booked out and costs quite a bit of money? You might have to even get a loan for it. Or do you want the guy that's giving you a 60% off coupon that's available tomorrow and can book you in, that doesn't have any experience? But as realtors, we often fall to the second example because we act as secretaries and we do too many things that aren't defined by the value we provide to the marketplace. So transaction coordinators, they should be doing your paperwork. That'll save you hours and hours and hours of time in your business. Have them do the paperwork, you approve it, check it, and then have it go back to them so they can go ahead and send it off and get signatures and submit it. Showing assistants. I just saved almost 20 hours the other day because I had a showing assistant. an incredible agent that's in our real network here in the same state, paid him $500, and he saved me 20 hours that I didn't have to show any homes or drive to go put these people under contract. Runners, do not go drop off lock boxes, signs, or contracts. We have an agent that's out in Florida, George Martinez, shout out to him. He has an Uber that does this. It's incredible. And it's genius because his time's too valuable calling his database and prospecting. And the last one, VAs and social media companies. If you want to have a YouTube platform, then get together with a YouTube company that will help you film your content and do the audio for that and help you with the thumbnails. If you're anywhere near Southern Utah and you need a company, reach out to Blueform Media. They're my social media YouTube company that I work with. We're able to leverage their skill set and mine to help provide more content for you guys, or go get VAs to implement everything else on the back end. The other thing that you got to get really, really good at is every time you have a buyer, investor, or seller, you've got to have a checklist for them. What that means is if I get a listing, I need to know what are my processes so that I don't have to remember. So if I get a listing, what's my checklist? So for me, I'm going to do the CMAs and put the packet together. I'm going to have someone drop it off 24 hours before. I'm going to call to make sure that they're going to be there and qualify them. I'm going to go to the appointment. I'm going to drop off Crumble. My TC is going to do the pictures and cleanup. We're going to list on a Thursday, open house on Saturday, and then every week I'm going to call them on Thursday to make sure that it's working like clockwork and ask for referrals. That's it. That's my process. So what's yours? What's yours with investors and buyers? Make sure that it's systematized. Go back and look at your January, February, or previous 2 months of the quarter, and then ask yourself, am I that dialed in? If you're not, then we got to fix it. All right, so now we've talked about you, we've talked about exposure, we've talked about processes. Now the next part on the funnel is skill set. A lot of realtors just aren't growing their skill set, and they're stagnant, and they're banking on skills they've learned their entire life. And they're like, oh, that realtor's good because they were a teacher, or oh, that realtor's good because they were a salesperson. You've got to change that mindset. And one of the greatest quotes on skill set development is from Alex Ramosi. And he talks about how entrepreneurship is about acquiring skills, beliefs, and character traits. To advance, I find that we must determine which skills, beliefs, and character traits we lack. Most times, we simply need to improve. And it was in his book, $100 Million Offers. And that's an incredible quote and concept to get behind. We just need to go identify what skill sets we need to do well in this industry and then acquire them. That's it. Literature, masterminds, coaching, role play groups. The average American or the average Canadian or wherever you're at, the average human, they read less than one book a year. And it's a magazine at the grocery store. The average CEO reads 55 plus books a year. So common sense, 1 + 1 is just read more and you'll acquire more. Last year I read 141 books. It was my biggest year with literature, and my skill set skyrocketed faster than it ever has in a 12-month period. Why? Because I read more. I improved my skill set. I honed in on that. So everybody should be reading or studying their skill set for 45 minutes to an hour a day. So let's list them off. You need to have good body language, tonality, people skills, listening skills, communication, presenting, negotiation, and personality traits, understanding that we all communicate on different frequencies. So there's a massive list, and you could go add another 50 things to this list, but make a list and cross them off and go get the books, get in the mastermind group so you can acquire that. Spend 45 minutes to an hour a day. That compounded over time will help you grow really fast. It's basically the Mamba mentality, the Kobe Bryant principle. He knew that if he woke up earlier, got an extra workout in a day, that compounded over time would give him 52 workouts a week ahead of everybody else. If he did it every day, then you have 7 days times 52. I'm not that smart at math, but that's how fast he could grow on a yearly basis. That compounded over his high school career. No one was touching him. As a realtor, it's the same way. Go back and look at your past 2 months. Are you role playing twice a day? I've never met a top realtor in any industry, cold calling, door knocking, social media, anyone that's doing a high volume that isn't role playing twice a day. You have to get more feedback on whether or not you're learning these skills. If you want to get in a role play group because your brokerage doesn't offer it, even though they say it's important, then put role play below. I'll reach out so that you can get my phone number, and it's $200 a month. It'll probably be $300 by the time we release this because the price keeps going up. Our group keeps getting bigger and the value keeps getting more for those role plays. So whatever price it's at when this releases, pay the money. I've told people to go donate plasma to get in that role play group because it'll allow you to get better. Your skill set will get sharper and you can develop those. Then read. How many books are you reading? If you want to be in our book club group, comment book club so that you know what books to read, what to focus on. I love this idea that 9 to 5 pay the bills, 6 to 12 builds the vision. So it's really easy to see who's building an empire, who's building a vision, with those that are putting in the hours over here. So ask yourself on skill development, where are you at? Are you growing and evolving? If you're not, fix that so you have more momentum to finish out the quarter. All right, the last one, or the second to last one, is follow-up. If you've followed my content for a while, I have another YouTube video on this, so if you want more in-depth training, go back and watch that a couple months ago on my ABCDE cycle that I use. But go and categorize all your leads off of timeline and motivation. Too often in the real estate industry, we categorize everything to hot, warm, and nurture. How in the world does that make sense? It doesn't make sense to me. I want to know who's ready now, who's going to be ready in 3 months, 6 months, 8 months, and a year, so that I know who to help. So make sure to go back and watch that last video so you can get better at categorizing your leads and get better at follow-up. All right, last one is closing the deal. I feel like a lot of realtors that I work with, when I first got into sales, this becomes their main issue, is I'm in front of the people. I have exposure. I'm talking to a ton of people, but I'm not converting. And then my leads that I follow up with aren't converting. That is called closing. There's great books on this by Grant Cardone, The Closer Survival Guide. Go get Zig Ziglar, one of the OGs in the self-development and sales industry. Go get his book on closing. Go get Sam Taggart's The ABCs of Closing. That's an incredible book. Go get Brian Tracy's The Psychology of Closing. Go learn how to help people get across the line. Not because you want them to, but because they want to. And sometimes it's just a one-liner here or a one-liner here. A couple months ago, we did a mastermind group in Utah, and we sold pizza, selling Little Caesars pizza door to door. And we had one team that went twice, and the guy said no. And I came up with another realtor, and the guy said no to us. But then I went rapport heavy because I knew there was a barrier. There was sales resistance. So I went really rapport, and then all of a sudden I said, hey, look, I totally get that you're not interested, but would you be opposed to helping these kids in Peru? It's $20, man. And he's like, that was a good line. I haven't heard that before. And he went and gave us $50. So some of the times it's just those one-liners that you can use. You know that they want to do it. You know because they're reaching out to you and you're following up on their timeline of motivation. They're just not going over the edge. That's called closing in sales. There's a lot of really good books that you can go learn or read and then learn the concepts and close out people in your funnel. All right, let's wrap up. So if you took a ton of notes in this episode, you're not going to get paid by the notes you took. You're going to get paid by the action list you make right now. Stop what you're doing. Pull out your notes. Make an action list of 15 things. Look at your business plan. Look at your vision board and your schedule. Look at the results you had the past 2 months and ask yourself, from what Jeremy went over today, what are the things I'm going to change and implement? Because that's where the money is made. So if we go all the way back and look at the funnel breakdown, what are you going to fix? Is it you? Is it your energy levels? Is it your exposure? You're just not in front of a lot of people. Is it your processes? You're driving a Ferrari with the brake on. Is it your skill set? You're not growing so that you can't close as many people. If you talk to 10 people and I talk to 10, you close 0, I close 4. The only difference is skill set. So why not go invest in yourself? Is it follow-up? Are you just not following up with your leads and you don't have a way to categorize them, which is totally common as a realtor? Or do you just not have the skill set to close the deal? Somewhere in here, that's where you're off. And that's why I wanted to take this first episode of March, because Tony Robbins, his quote that we went over It's all about pattern recognition. If you can stop and really look at your business, fix a couple things, you can take the Legos and you can assort it and arrange it and put it together, because a problem well stated is a problem half solved. If you can do that, then your March will be incredible because you made the right pivots to put you back on course. All right, so we're going to wrap up that episode. Hopefully that was super helpful. I talked to a lot of you. You call, text me, reach out on Instagram, and you constantly are asking, hey, I'm not where I want to be. That's okay. I'm more than happy to help you for free. You guys know that. But you also need to be able to help yourself. One of the greatest skills that you can acquire is to do a self-analysis like a CEO would. Run your business like Jocko Willink would, where he would be able to analyze a situation in the field as a Navy SEAL and fix it. You have to develop that eyesight for the things that you're doing. Learn to operate your business like a CEO. This is what CEOs do. They have quarterly audits. They meet with the board of directors. They have outside counsel coming in to fix their business. So go back and watch this and look at your past 2 months and ask yourself, am I ahead? Am I on pace or am I behind? Remember, you can't fix what you don't know. So you have to get to know it first, and then you can fix it. Hopefully you took a ton of notes, transfer that into an action list, and then that action list is what is going to help you finish the quarter on a high note, because if you can, then you'll start the next quarter on an even higher note. Thanks guys for watching this. Super excited for the next couple episodes to roll out. We got a lot of good content for you. Make sure you subscribe, turn on the notifications, and follow me over on Instagram at Door to Door Real Estate.